You are listening to the Digital Signage Today podcast. Are you a supplier or a brand working to elevate the customer experience? The Interactive Customer Experience Association connects brands, suppliers, agencies, and more who are working to create transcendent customer experiences. Let's work together to create a better customer experience ecosystem for us all. Join the ICX Association today at icxa.org.
Welcome back to Digital Signage Today's podcasts. Today I'll be talking with Paul Chapuis. He is the CEO of Converge Retail, and we will be talking with him about interactive digital signage and the Internet of Things. On Digital Signage Today's Stories of the Week, we examined several topics. The first one was we spoke with Circle K about their new digital signage solutions. Circle K is preparing for the stores of the future, where because of electric cars, customers will be spending much more time in the store. So Circle K is trying to engage with them now with additional digital signage. Other top stories of the week looked at how digital signage end users use movies, TV, and video games to engage directly with their audience. The other top story of the day looked at cashierless stores and how long it's going to take before they become mainstream.
The Interactive Customer Experience Association's mission is to connect B2C brands to technology that elevates the customer experience. Brands have access to resources, project help, news, and insights based around boosting their customer experience. Suppliers gain network opportunities to reach these brands and help them provide solutions to elevate their customer experience. Join today at icxa.org.
All right, welcome back everyone to the Digital Signage Today podcast. Today I am joined by Paul Chapuis. He is the CEO of Converge Retail, and he's going to share with us some information about interactive digital signage. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you. So I just wanted to get right into it, and in your experience, how are retailers or / other end users using interactive digital signage?
Well, in a word, poorly. There's this divide between a retail experience and an online experience. And most experiences around a screen are static. That means, you sit in one specific spot and you type in a query of some kind. And retail is by nature kinetic. You move around, you move up and down the shelf and compare and contrast products. So there's this fundamental split between an interactive experience and a retail experience that no one has resolved. And so we see a lot of use of touchscreens in retail, and oddly they keep getting bigger and bigger, even though that doesn't mean the engagement's getting better. And so what we're really proud of with our platform is we figured out a way to link together the natural kinetic moving around a store experience of retail with an interactive experience.
So in your experience, what are some of the biggest trends in the interactive signage space?
Again, we've seen the amount of touchscreens continue to expand to retail, even though that doesn't mean the usage is expanding. So we're seeing more of something that just doesn't work. And that's obviously going in the wrong direction. We're also seeing those screens get bigger and bigger. And as they get bigger, people are less likely to walk up to them and touch them. And it's becoming a less and less comfortable experience. So that whole trend of bringing a touchscreen or traditional interactive into retail is growing, but not doing well.
Gotcha. So it seems like there's this issue where they're trying to do interactive displays, but they're not quite getting it right. But in your experience, when they do start to get it right, how do these interactive displays help improve customer engagement and sales as well?
Yeah, well, let me just describe our platform a little bit to give a little background. So for us, it started a few years ago. We had a very early demo of augmented reality down at the Qualcomm office in San Diego, almost 4 years ago. And what really struck our team was this idea that the interactivity should be participating. It should be able to see what you're looking at and help you out. Now, AR is an interesting way to add a level of interactivity to a retail experience, but unfortunately, the equipment is just clumsy and just doesn't work that well, right? You're just not going to walk around a store with a headset on. So we asked ourselves the question, how can we bring that same level of engagement into retail? And how can we make the interactive portion of a display not just be passive, but participate? And what we came up with was this idea of using the backside camera on a tablet or iPad and allowing that thing to move up and down the shelf on a rail. And by being able to have the device see what's on the shelf, we're able to instantly offer up all kinds of amazing rich content, rich interactive material to a customer in a way that matches the kinetic shopping experience. In essence, if you're able to have an interactive tool in retail that follows the path of retail and follows the way you move up and down the shelf and compare and contrast products, you've solved a lot of the problem of bringing interactivity into stores in a novel way that is just natural.
Gotcha. And what has your customers' reaction to that product been like?
Yeah, it's really fun watching our customers shop, particularly for the first time. Now, there's a little bit of onboarding in the sense that most people aren't used to moving a screen, right? So we've added, obviously, handles to our device, and sometimes we even expose the rail on the front of the shelf to give all the visual clues so that when somebody walks up to it, they immediately understand that this thing moves left and right. And the moment they move it in front of a product and all of that rich content, that product information just pops up, there's always this smile and this sense of delight. And it's super fun watching people shop for the first time that are just kind of figuring out the system and realize, wow, as I move this left and right, it's seeing what I'm doing and it's seeing what I'm looking at. And it's just serving up the videos, the reviews, the rich content, setup information, all of that is just being served up in a really natural way. And so there's this moment of delight as people start using it. And then that passes, and then they get back to business at their shopping experience and realize really quickly how, not how fun it is to use, but how much information is on the shelf. And one thing we love is it allows us to have all that rich, deep information about every product without cluttering the shelf. So you can have a gorgeous, minimalist display, even for the most complicated products on the market.
Gotcha. So this is primarily a shelf edge product, something that would be along the shelves that people could sort of run across and check out all the products. Is that the idea I'm getting?
Yeah, and we make a variety of different formats. We make a device that can strap onto or hinge onto any existing shelf, and that works great. We make another one that is a self-contained unit that's really easy for a retailer that just wants to try it. It's the rail system with the iPad in a beautiful enclosure on a 4-foot section, which can be set on a shelf. And we also do large implementations, like we did at Fred Meyer recently, where we took over the entire electronic section and just outfitted the whole space with the Converge platform.
Gotcha. So I get the sense that there are some retailers that are using interactive digital signage, even though it might not be the best. But one problem that often comes up when I talk to other end users is that interactive digital signage, it can just be pretty expensive. So in your experience, how can they really make use of the interactivity without breaking the bank?
Yeah, so it's interesting. If you dive into why it's expensive, the biggest reasons, there are two big reasons. One, you're using a screen that's too big for what a personal shopping experience should be. And two, you're not able to share the cost of that screen among multiple products. Many retailers basically put a screen behind every product that they want to explain, and that just doesn't make any logical sense, in part because the consumer then has to start that experience of finding information over each time they move to a product. But secondly, it means you have to pay for a screen and the connectivity and the back end for the screen for every single product, and that just never makes sense. In each 4-foot section, we can do up to 40 different products. Now, the way the products work out, usually it ends up being 6 to 10 in a 4-foot section. But if you take the cost of a connected computer or an iPad and you divide it by 10 products, pretty quickly you're below a cost of around $20 per product per location per month. And that's actually a really easy and very inexpensive thing for a retailer or brand to step over.
Gotcha. And would you say sometimes the reason why there's so much money being spent is it's spent on these rather huge deployments, like, a big kiosk or maybe like a huge overhead display or something like that?
The notion of a kiosk I find kind of silly. This idea is you're supposed to leave what you're doing on the shelf, go somewhere else in the store, remember the exact SKU that you were looking at, somehow type that in, find that SKU. Again, you have no breadcrumbs to take you back to it. find that SKU, and then put in all of your private information into a public terminal. And I think, the idea of kiosks is so incredibly flawed. I think it's a sign that retailers have been trying really hard to connect their online inventory with their in-store inventory and have some kind of crossover where you could walk into a store and have access to that stuff. But a kiosk is just not the right solution.
Gotcha. That's interesting. So, in your opinion, you talked a little bit about your solution, how it can help. But in your opinion, how can interactive digital signage really help drive retail sales? Or how can retailers really measure the ROI on those displays?
Yeah. So I love that question, because that's exactly what we do so well. So there's three things that Converge platform does really, really well. The first thing is we provide remarkable, rich content to the consumer in an experience that matches how they shop. And that is, they get reviews, they get all the setup information, they get all that great content, and normally you only get online. That's one. Two, because if we have the retailer's app is connected to our platform, we can allow someone to walk around a store and put some things in their real cart or put other things in their virtual cart. So our platform solved, number two, it solved the ability for people to walk around the store and put items in their virtual cart on their phone. In other words, allowing consumers to shop as they want. They can shop physically, or they can save it for later. They can send it to wherever they want. That works great. So that's two. Three, our platform is paying attention to every single transaction. So we log every single click and every single moment someone's in front of this for what length of time. And if they send themselves that information, or if they have an app that we can identify, we log all of that. So the third thing that we do that's incredibly important is we actually can see the entire path to purchase, where someone starts the shopping experience, what product they enter on, what they look at, what it is that they look at, how it influences their behavior, and then what product they ultimately send to themselves to take home. And right now, none of that information is just available to a retailer, right? You can walk into a store like a Best Buy, you can spend 45 minutes talking to a store associate about a TV or any product, and then if you walk out, everyone in the store just shrugs their shoulders and says, oh, he left, right? That's crazy. We have to figure out a way to connect who it is that's coming into the store, what is their level of interest, and give the retailer the information of who's looking at what and how to follow up with that person. And so we're really solving those three major problems: getting customers the information they want, allowing them to shop in a store however they want, in store or online in the store, and third, giving the retailers and brand the information of who's looking at the product and giving them the information to be able to follow up with that person.
Gotcha. And does your platform integrate at all with anything like IoT sensors or anything like that, or is that something on the horizon?
Yeah, absolutely. We're actually working on quite a number of different partnerships to figure that out. But there's a whole lot of kind of fun things. Like we're working with a new apparatus to allow cell phones and tablets and computers to be lifted up with an RFID device on the back. It's basically a proximity alarm that knows how far away it is. But our platform in that case is able to figure out who's looking at what, who's touching what, which is pretty interesting. But just the base Converge system obviously is paying attention not just to what you're looking at, but who you are. So all of that data is now available to retailers and brands to be able to follow up with the customer.
Excellent. And one last question I had for you. Do you really think IoT will be the future of how retailers interact with their customers and gather that data?
Well, IoT, I guess in its simplest form, is just a connected thing, right? Mm-hmm. And everything's becoming more and more connected. We're seeing that happen all around our houses and offices for sure. I think we need to figure out how to take that big mess of data that's coming from retail and parse it together and package it up in a way that retailers and brands can use retail to their advantage and use retail to understand who's looking at what and who to follow up with. Because honestly, if somebody got in a car and drove to your store and walked in the front, parked their car, came inside, they're very motivated to learn about a product or a service that you're offering. And it's really broken right now that retailer doesn't have the ability to understand who that person is and follow up. So I think all of the connected devices that happen throughout a retail store are going to add together to allow a retailer to better understand who that person is and do a better job of following up with somebody that's come in to see them.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Paul. Did you have anything else you'd like to add before we sign off today?
No, I will just add some enthusiasm. We now have close to 350, almost 400 of these devices in the field. We have tests going on in 3 continents. We're getting such an amazing amount of traction with the Converge system. We actually just recently presented at the Point of Purchase show in Chicago, and we won Innovation of the Year and Best in Show, which is, the 2 biggest awards that you could possibly want to win, right? And so we're just seeing, just in the last few months, in the last 6-8 months, we're seeing the adoption of this just come to light, and it's so exciting because we're absolutely convinced this is the right way for retailers and brands to present their products at retail, and the right tool for them to really succeed as a retailer. And we're just seeing that take off now. And I can't be more enthusiastic about the product and the platform.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Paul.
Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.